gotta stay and make my own lane. I gotta stay a new way, a new way, a new way, a new way. I gotta stay and make my own lane. I gotta stay a new way, a new way, a new way, a new way. I gotta stay and make my own lane. I gotta stay a new way, a new way, a new way, a new way. I gotta stay and make my own lane. A new way for me to think, a new way to dream. Can't allow the both to sink, trying to be like these other rappers who are always swag jacking, from the flows to the content and even to the fashion. I wanna be original like no one else, the type of artist you can't find up on a shelf. Nope. Yes indeed, I had to grind for all my wealth. I did. But more importantly, I had to know myself. I know, not gonna lie, I had times where I thought to quit. But writing rhymes brought a high that most won't understand. Only a dreamer can speak my lanes, which is nothing better than waking up with a purpose. Despite the doubts, every ounce of me I put in. Ain't have the clout or the fan base to match it. No, a work in progress if only I knew. No, you can't rush success when patience is a virtue. Giving food for thought, allow me to serve you. I'm always going in as if I had a curfew. Ha! I won't complain with all the days that were hurtful. Nope, made some mistakes, but in the end they were helpful. They were.
Gotta stay to fix my mistakes. I know I am great. I will not delay the dreams that I chase, the path I create. The future awaits. I will not escape.
You might fall. It's a chance though. If you don't try, you'll never know. Time to open all them closed doors. You got dreams, right? What are they for?
A new way, a new way, a new way, a new way. I gotta stay and make my own lane. I gotta stay a new way, a new way, a new way, a new way. I gotta stay and make my own lane. I gotta stay a new way, a new way, a new way, a new way. I gotta stay and make my own lane. I gotta stay a new way, a new way, a new way, a new way. I gotta stay and make my own lane.
I gotta stay here to make my own way. I did not come here just to play. I came to be the human that I planned to be, 'cause now I'm finally free. I see what this world is meant to be for me, and now I'll be fine. I'll take my time, everything will be alright. 'Cause now I'm here to stay, to make my way, to make my own lane. I know we'll be okay, we'll be alright, we'll be just fine. 'Cause we're gonna make a new way at the end of the day. A new way, a la la, a la la. I've gotta stay to make my own way. A new way, a new way. I've got to stay and make my own way.
Welcome to another Creatives Talk. My name is Shanay Miles, and today we have our wonderful music production students and the wonderful and talented bassist and teacher, Mr. Dennis Turner. So I'm actually going to bring them on right now. First up is Ahmad. Ahmad, welcome. Thank you so much for joining.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you all for having me.
You're welcome. Next up is Zay. Hey, Zay, welcome for joining. Thank you so much for joining the show. And then we have Mr. Quentin. Quentin, thank you so much for joining. So glad to see you. And last but not least, Mr. Dennis Turner, as the students call them. Welcome so much.
That's
my teacher. You guys don't look like rappers, man. You guys don't look like.
That's my teacher.
That's
Thank
hilarious.
you so much for joining the show today, guys. We're so excited to have you and looking forward to this interview. So I'm going to go ahead and get into our interview. First thing I want you all to do, if you all can, if you can introduce yourself. So we can start with Ahmad. Just introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Well, hello, everyone. My name is Ahmad Woodard. My artist name is Ahmad. Washington, D.C. native, born and raised. I'm 23 years old. My art forms are songwriting. I'm an MC. I'm a lyricist, a rapper, poet, live performer. and yeah, I'm all about writing. I'm all about the pen. So that's a little bit about me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ahmad. Next up, Zay, tell us a little bit about yourself.
What's up? I'm Zay. I'm 15. Mainly do music production, but every now and then I like to pick up the pen and start writing. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Zay. Mr. Quentin, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, my name is Quentin. What I do is I'm sort of a beat maker, but I haven't made a lot of beats lately. So I mostly do writing. I write raps. So
Oh, nice. Nice, Quentin. This is a skill that I'm learning. I'm looking forward to hearing some of your raps one day. And last but not least, again, Mr. Dennis Turner, tell us a little bit about yourself.
First off, let me say Quentin, aka Serious, the boy crazy. Like he go in the booth and you don't even expect what you're hearing when you hit it. I hadn't heard him talk for like 2 days. He went in the booth and anyway. I'm Mr. Dennis Turner. That's they call me Mr. Dennis. I'm the teacher of the class. I like to consider myself to be like a facilitator of information for these young inspiring artists. I've been a professional musician for 20 plus years, traveling, playing with various artists, and I've been blessed to be able to teach this class for the last 3 years almost now.
Awesome. Thank you so much, you all, for sharing a little bit about yourself. And I believe all of you all actually introduced what you kind of do in music. Of course, the music industry and the careers within music is broad. And so Ahmad, like you said, Ahmad is the writer. Zay is the producer. I thought Quentin was just the producer, but he's also a rapper. And then Dennis, he is, a professional musician. He plays the bass. I'm sure he plays some other instruments that we don't know about. And
Nine instruments.
nine. Wow, nine instruments. That's very cool. And he's also an awesome teacher. Um, what genre or who inspired your music? Anybody can chime in and answer, but tell me, who inspired your music, or what genre inspired your music?
Mm. I'll be first to answer that. For me, I fell in love with hip hop. Hip hop was the first genre of music that I felt was mine, if that makes any sense. Like, despite being from DC and understanding that go-go is the predominant genre of music that's within my city, for me, hip hop was something that just felt second nature to me. That was the first genre of music that I fell in love with. Of course, after that, then I started to explore other genres of music. But for me, hip hop was the first genre of music that I fell in love with.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. Who's up next?
I guess I'll go.
Oh,
Just want to make sure you can hear me, right? Okay, cool.
we can hear you.
So for me, some of the genres that really inspires my music today is similar to Ahmad, hip hop, but then also lo-fi hip hop and a lot of experimental stuff and a little bit of jazz here and there. But when it comes to specific artists, um, probably a lot of MF Doom, Earl Sweatshirt, Childish Gambino, Tyler the Creator, Jay Dilla, and a lot of people like that.
Nice, nice. Now I have a follow-up question to this. Say, um, can you produce all kinds of genres, or do you just stick with one?
So that's funny. I actually just before we hopped on, I was challenging myself to make a different type of genre because normally I stick to like a lot of more lo-fi sounding beats, like similar to like a lot of Earl Sweatshirt or Navy Blue. But this time I was trying to, I think it was either going to be a trap beat or more of like pop song or something. So I say I'm probably really good at like my lo-fi stuff, but I do like to branch out and produce other genres every now and again.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much. All right, who's next? What genre or what artist inspired your work?
Is Quentin gonna go? I mean, uh, I guess I go and then Quentin can go. I come from a jazz studies background, predominantly, but I grew up listening to a lot of funk, a lot of R&B, Michael Jackson, Prince, New Edition, all that stuff with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. But when I was in school, when I started playing instruments, like Miles Davis was like one of my biggest influences. And then I heard Dilla when I got like 20, and that just changed the whole game for me. Like the first time I heard a Dilla beat, I think it was tainted by Slum Village, and I was like, who is this? And my boy was like, he just set me down and just played all this Slum Village stuff, and I was like, ah. So I think it's a mosh pot of everything. Like I love all genres of music. I'll play on a bluegrass record if it's dope enough. Like I think that's what music is. It's the only language that's universal that you can go anywhere around the world and speak with other people. So those are my inspirations. Like, and now it's my class. Like I have the privilege to sit and watch them create in a space where they have unlimited like resources and the freedom to say and to express themselves the way they want to, and you just watch them kind of feed off each other. So that's inspiring in itself as well.
Awesome, awesome. All right, Quentin, tell us what artists or what genre inspires your music.
So the artist that inspires my music, well, I used to listen to LL Cool J, but this was for like a short period of time. I used to really like his music, but then I heard a Tribe Called Quest, and I felt like what they were saying was better than LL Cool J. And then I heard KRS-One and BDP, so I was like, I think that I should have some sort of message in my songs, in my raps, so that it's not just me talking about myself. Like that's sometimes good, but what you say influences what other people say and how they act. Like what you do influences the younger population. So also a song that influences me is called actually I think it's the newest album by a Tribe Called Quest. It's called "We Got It From Here." Thank you for your service. And some songs on there. It's called "This Generation," "We the People," um, "The Space Program," and those three, they're like all intertwined. They're talking about how like this newest generation, we literally the hook is this generation rules the nation, and it's saying that like we rule the nation, and then the other songs say like we need to make a change. And the space program says they ain't a space program for us, so we have to make our own space program. So that's what's influencing me.
Nice, nice. Thank you so much. And actually, I want to kind of ask another question to piggyback off of what you were talking about, Quentin. Music it has a powerful way to spread a message. Music on numerous occasions has been used as a platform to discuss social justice issues, racial issues, whatever. It's a great way and a great tool to spread a message. Have you all ever had to use your music to spread a message? If so, how did you use it and what impact did it make?
Mm. For me, the first thing that come to mind is I had the honor alongside another amazing, dope MC lyricist from the city by the name of Fly Zaya. Her and I had a collaboration, and the song is entitled "Our Time Is Now." Specifically, we did that song for MLK Day, and basically the song was just about us saying how our time is now, but also speaking about how Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. influenced the entire world and how he's influencing us as an artist. So for me, I feel like that song was very impactful for me as an aspiring and up and coming artist, because not only did we shoot a music video for it, but I get a lot of great feedback from that song. So it shows me that the power of my pen, and it also shows me the power of my voice as an artist.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ahmad. And actually, we're going to show a quick clip of that song. So yeah, enjoy.
Our time is now, so we won't wait.
We won't wait.
Our time is now to stand up straight.
Stand up straight.
Our time is now for brighter days.
Brighter days. Our time is now. Our time is now. This is a legacy of Martin Luther. My ancestors gave us the recipe to lead the future. So we march for civil rights. We need our justice sooner. Do your part. Let's all unite and make our power super. It's the start. Let's talk racism and segregation from the heart. Come together, no separation. Let's be smart. Protect your mental, get your education. Yo, Ahmad, help me finish off this conversation.
Now tell me what is time if you do not exist, and how can it be now if you don't take a stand? Let's open up our eyes as we lift our heads. A strong mind can lead the blind to the promised land. At the table I sit in front of a white man, but I see him for who he is instead of his skin. He wears pants like I wear pants, plus we both sin. People can't comprehend that we can coexist. Our time is now, so we won't wait.
We won't wait.
Our time is now to stand up straight.
Stand up straight.
Our time is now for brighter days.
Brighter days. Our time is now. Our time is now.
Our time is now, so we won't wait.
We won't wait.
Our time is now to stand up straight.
Stand up straight.
Our time is now for brighter days.
Brighter days. Our time is now. Our time is now.
In this nightmare, I think of MLK's dream. The light at the end of the tunnel seems so hard to reach. They want us all to sleep, so we can't be woke, and hopes we stay quiet and keep our mouths closed.
That's
Great.
dope. Yeah.
Yeah, y'all killed that. Y'all killed that.
Appreciate it, family. Thank you. Thank you. It was an honor, like I said.
Thank you. All right. So now, who else have had an opportunity to use your music to talk about a social justice issue, or even whatever issue that may be important to you? Feel free to share how you did it and how it impacted others.
I go real quick. So a couple of years ago, I'm the musical director for an artist named Frederick Yanay, and we had the opportunity to play for the One Nation rally, which was on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial in front of 100,000 plus people, and it was on like C-SPAN and every major news outlet that it could be on. And it was, the rally was to show how we are one nation and we're all cut from the same cloth. So to be able to be on a stage, that big a platform, and to arrange a song for that was probably one of the biggest highlights of my musical career, and then to be seen, on that platform, and to have your voice heard in that aspect was kind of life changing. My mom watched it. She said the audio was kind of bad, but they had to go back and fix that later. But the point was we were at the place where we could actually do it. So.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That sounds so interesting. And actually, Dennis, you and Fred and the band with no name, I believe that's what you all are called. You all doing you did something special during the pandemic. What was that?
Yeah. So when the pandemic started, we still needed a way to have an outlet to be creative, but to also do it in a safe space. So Fred came up with the idea to outfit this house of, I guess, with plastic covers. Everybody in the band was covered in their own self-quarantine, but we were able to perform on a weekly basis for over a year, every Sunday for like 2 to 3 hours, live stream, and to the audience that came and pulled up in their cars and just listened outside. So we did that for about a year. And then we were able to take it on the road. We went to actually doing the vote, when the voting was happening for the presidency. We went up to Philadelphia and performed there, to support Joe Biden. And then we were also able to take it to Ohio and do shows with Dave Chappelle. It was
Oh,
pretty cool.
awesome. Awesome. And Dennis, just to kind of go back to it's called Club Quarantine, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Um, how did that impact people?
You know, it was really cool because we were doing something at a time where a lot of music, especially live music, wasn't happening, and people were trying to figure out a way to, either stream or to be able to perform. So we came up with a system that actually worked, and the response that we got over, like the overwhelming response we always got was, you guys have made it our weekends something to look forward to because we're performing and we get to watch you guys. We get to, if we want to, we can drive to the neighborhood you guys are in and just sit in our cars and listen to you guys perform, and we can watch it. So we had all these different outlets to people that could grab a hold of what we were doing. But for us, it was therapeutic for us too because we had a chance to not only like keep grinding or like cutting our axes at our instruments and our crafts, but it was a communal thing. We were able to come together on a weekly basis and create in a space that was safe. By the time we got done with it, it was a pretty extensive crew. Like Shanay, you came. It was like 15 people working on this crew at one point. Um, Cameras everywhere, GoPros everywhere. But when we got the system down, it became something that people try to copy and use for their own purposes as well. So we were also able to inspire other artists to get out there and stream as well. So it was I think it was like one of those things where like we caught it at the right moment, and it was like we struck gold, and then we had to get off of it, but it was magical. It was magical.
Awesome. All right. Zay and Quentin, how have you used your music to impact others? And again, it doesn't have to be on a major platform. It could be maybe you had a friend or you had a family member. How has your music impacted others?
Um, so definitely nowhere near as big as Mr. Dennis or
Oh,
Ahmad.
please, 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 no, no, don't start there.
Stop. Stop what you do.
But um but when it comes to thinking about using my art to speak on something, uh I think how I don't remember how long ago it was, but I feel like it was one of my first times like in the studio recording, and it was one of my first time. I think it was my first time ever writing rap too. But uh it was like me and Ahmad were on a beat that I made, like just rapping about 2020 and just like the pandemic and a lot of the stuff that happened. I don't really remember the name of it, but that's something that comes to mind. And then the other thing was producing for Mr. Jones with the Pro Se Litigator, producing like the music on that. And it's something that's still like a work in progress, like because still gotta have like a few things to finish here and there. But I feel like those are the two things that I can really think about that I could answer to your question.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you. And I'm going to piggyback off of what Dennis said. There's no such thing as big or small. When it comes
Yeah.
to, I think just being an artist in general, anything that you do, you should consider it big because it's an opportunity. It's a chance to experience something. It's a chance to learn, a chance to grow, a chance to connect. And what just happens is that you just continue to expand your horizons in your artistry. So always that would be my tip to you all.
Yeah.
Dennis started somewhere. Ahmad started somewhere. Zay started somewhere. Quentin started somewhere. I started somewhere. So it's not about where we at now. It's where we're starting and that we're continuing to grow. That's what it means to be an artist. Continue to expand and continue to grow.
Yeah, and I always say too, just if whether it's a few or a few thousand, you're still an artist at the end of the day. You know, You still got to put on a show. You still got to go out there and do the work. So
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, so now, since we're talking about the levels of your artistry, I want to kind of switch it to goals and career. So what I want to ask each of you, well, of course, we know what Dennis is doing, but each of you, primarily our students, have you considered pursuing music full time? If so, what steps are you taking to make that goal a reality?
Um, I am most definitely thinking of making music like something I do forever in my life, whether that be producing, rapping, or like playing the instruments I play, which is piano and French horn. Um, the steps I've taken, I'm already at a performing arts school in the instrumental department, and like I said, I play French horn. And For the future, I'm starting to look into colleges now. Like, well, I haven't started, but like I'm about to start looking at colleges, definitely looking for things with a strong music program, a good marching band, because there's a lot of things I want to do with my life outside of music, but music is definitely one of the main things I want to do. So,
Awesome, awesome. Who's next?
I would really piggyback off of Zay. Music is not only my passion, it's something that I eat, sleep, and breathe. It's of me, it's my life. So all I envision for myself is songwriting, being a recording artist, being in the studio every day, or being out there performing and impacting people's lives, or making records and making bodies of work and projects. So how am I taking those exact steps to creating that lifestyle and that reality? Of course, by being at the wonderful and amazing Project Create. Uh, Also, taking as many workshops that are out there and that are free, as far as songwriting workshops, poetry workshops, reading books, not only just books as far as reading an artist's story, but also reading books as far as things in the music industry that I can keep an eye out for on the business side of things. So really, for me, just being a sponge, that's the biggest step that I am taking, being a sponge and being open to all information.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ahmad. Actually, I want to go back to Zay and then I want to go back to Ahmad because to kind of tie some stuff in with both of you all. Zay, you said a performing arts school, but you didn't mention which performing arts school. So can you tell us which performing arts school you're attending and also the interesting story about you getting in there? You had to do something in order to get in there. Can you tell the audience what that was?
yeah, so I attend Duke Ellington School of the Arts. It was probably the most like hardest, most difficult thing ever, just when it comes to school in general, just the process of get going and getting in and the schoolwork I have now. So at first, if you remember, I mentioned that I play piano, and that's what I auditioned for at Duke. But unfortunately, I didn't get in. But they were like, "Hey, you have a lot of talent and a lot of potential. Could you come play French horn?" And I was like, "I've never heard of that instrument before. Like, what is that? Like, I don't know. The French is the horn going like wee. I'm from Paris or something. Like, I don't know." And so I searched I searched it up and it's like, oh wow, they put this in a lot of the stuff we see today. Like French horn, they use that stuff all the time in like Star Wars, Harry Potter. They go crazy with it. And so I started, learning how to play, and now I'm at the school playing French horn. It's great. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Now, I wanted to tell that story because I thought it was so interesting. One of the things I think it's important for I know any artist that has, I know Dennis can attest to this, but any artist who has been on the up and coming it's certain things that you had to do to get to where you are. And so for you, getting into Duke Ellington, you had to learn an instrument that you didn't even hear, you didn't knew nothing about a French horn. So that's impressive that you put that much time and dedication into learning to get to where you needed to go. And then as far as Ahmad, I can say personally, Ahmad comes to Project Create, which is the art center that I work at, and the art center that we have this class at. He comes to Project Create sometimes 6 in the morning. He's our new artist in resident, and he's here 6 in the morning, and he treats it like a job. And that's impressive again, because when you're trying to get somewhere in your career and you have a goal, you do whatever you need to do to make it happen. And so that's why I kind of wanted you all to kind of elaborate a little bit more on that, because I think there might be some young artists online, or just artists in general, who are really trying to, make things happen. And they may have a similar story, or really they may not know what it takes to really pursue your goals. So I really wanted you all to share that. Thank you so much for doing that. Quentin, tell us a little bit about your goal. Are you trying to pursue music full time, or is this a side thing? You got some other projects coming up? Tell us.
I'm not sure if this is like something I want to do full time, but like if I did, then I have some ideas. Like I'm gonna get new instruments and stuff, and I'm gonna start incorporating my own sounds into beats so that I'm not being reliant uh, on BandLab and SoundCloud and things like that. Because I don't really want to use their sounds, because like things that I want or that I need aren't there, and also for copyright purposes. Like I don't want to have to wonder if this beat, like if it goes out and becomes popular, will BandLab ask for money for it? Because like I made a beat, and then I went on YouTube and I heard someone else made that exact same beat. So I don't want that to happen again.
Mm-hmm.
But I also have a painting career, sort of. I had a show at the art earlier this month. Yeah, shoes that I did for a class. Actually, the teacher was Luis Deval. He's one of the artists there at Project Create. He was actually this week. Last week he was there hanging up paintings. So that's
Nice.
how I want to take my art career further.
Nice. So you want to be a painter, a musician. I mean, to be honest, creatives, and that's why I say creatives instead of musicians, because creatives usually do have more than one discipline that they have skills in. It's actually pretty common. So I commend you for that. And I mean, whatever gets you in the door. I do want to ask you, Quentin, because I heard that you actually have a song that you produced, and I believe you got it copyrighted, right? What was the name of that song? Can you share a little bit about it?
I think it was our year. It was me, Ahmad, and Pluto. We I made the beat, and then Ahmad and Pluto rapped on it. It's a song about, like, we called it our year because we want it to be not just 2020, which is when it was made, but also any year that you're hearing it in. So like this is our year, not a set year. And also a line in that song, "Somebody called the cops because we're really here." That was about George Floyd and how he said he couldn't breathe. So we got that copyrighted, and me, Amar, and Pluto, we all own the rights to it.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. I commend you for that. That's definitely a good tip for, again, some artists on here. If you're producing music, definitely get your stuff copyrighted so that you can own the rights. So I definitely commend you, Quentin, for doing that. Thank you so much for sharing that. All right. All right. So my next question is, how important is it to stay relevant to things going on in culture and also technological changes when it comes to your artistry?
Mm. I personally feel like being in the music industry, that comes hand in hand. As artists, we're always the music industry is always moving and things are constantly changing. You know, certain trends and certain genres go through certain ups and certain downs. So I feel like as artists in the music industry, we definitely have to kind of just go with the times and kind of adjust. So I know personally for me, I think it's important as an artist to be able to adapt to whatever setting you're in musically from a technological standpoint and also just from a music standpoint. One could say that trap is the biggest form in rap right now. So of course you hear a lot of trap elements and beats and things of that nature. So for me, I would just say being an artist who can adapt to any situation and show versatility, that's key.
Nice. Thank you. Anyone else?
Um, yeah. So can you repeat the question just so I can make sure I know? Like, because I heard one thing, but I was like, oh wait, maybe
Oh,
she's not
sure.
asking that.
So, my question is, how important is it to stay relevant to things going on in culture and also technological change or also changes with technology? That should be worded better.
I think it's extremely important. Well, in some ways it is very important, and in some ways it's like less important because when I think of it like on the technological side, it's like there might be something that dropped that can make me making my music a whole lot easier or allow me to do stuff that I was never able to do. Like for example, um, I a friend I met at school. Uh, me and him met because I beats and I was like, oh snap, I make beats too, and he helped me get set up with it. And it was like, while that's something that's me, that's something that's new because I came from using stuff like Soundtrap and Serato Studio because because that's all I could find. And so while I'm still using the trial version of Ableton because I don't have like what almost $700 I think to purchase like the full version. I think at the minimum the most basic bare bones version is like $99. Still don't have that much money. Um, I I've been working with the Ableton Lite, and I feel like when it comes to my beats, I've been able to make stuff that I always wanted to in my mind, but I could never because of the limitations of Soundtrap and Serato. And then when it comes to like, and so that's why I think it is important. But then there's some things I'm like I don't find important, but in some ways I do, cause so social media is something that it's a gray area for me because it's like there's some trends on there where I'm like, that's not something I want to follow. That's not something I really care about. But then it's like a lot of the lo-fi artists that I really like Eldre or Vision, they got really popular from social media like TikTok and Instagram because they understood like how to use that to their advantage. So it's something that I like to make sure I know, but there's some things that I like to ignore. So
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. Who wants to answer the question next?
Quentin.
I think it's very important to stay current. Like, you don't want to be talking about something that happened last week. Like, say for instance, I can't come up with any good examples. But like, you don't want to be talking about something outdated, and with the technology, you don't want to be using something like maybe Mr. Dennis said that like his friend, he had one friend that used a program that came out in the 90s, and then he had another friend that used, like, he bought every single thing, every single new software that came out, even though he only played the flute. So I think there's sort of a line that you have to draw, like being new and using stuff that you already know how to use, because like you don't want to get too confused with the new stuff, and you don't want to be outdated or like out of date with your old stuff.
Nice.
Absolutely.
It's a balance.
Absolutely.
And and to piggyback on that, the point I was trying to make was um, learn the software that, or learn the hardware or the software that makes you feel like you're the best version of yourself at the end of
Hmm.
the day. Like you can buy all the plugins, you can buy all the software, but if you don't know how to use it, you're only using like the basic versions of it. You're just spending money because you have to have the new where you got people out here still using like band in a box and making like the greatest thing you've ever heard. And in terms of like even having your voice like being heard, um, I always preach from a space of uh, making honest music and making timeless music. If you're making things that are true to yourself and the most honest thing that you can make, it will transcend time. Like at the end of the day. We all know that there are fads in music, like trap is in so much everything. They putting trap and R&B and all stuff, but they're artists who effectively use those sounds and those sequences to like tell really authentic and genuine stories, and they're being the most authentic and honest versions of themselves using the hype stuff or the sound of the day. You know what I'm saying? But when that sound changes, they'll be using those sounds to do the same thing. And then you have some artists who go against the grain totally and be like, I'm just going to do me. And it's a lane for everybody at the end of the day. You know,
Mhm.
I'm too old for
Absolutely.
trap, so I can't do it.
Thank you so much, Dennis. And actually, I want to kind of go back to Dennis and Zayd's point. Dennis, you mentioned that it's important to find the hardware and software that makes you shine the best or
Hmm.
look the best, sound the best. Zay, for you, it's, I just use whatever I can use. But either way, I'm going to find a way to make it work for me. And I think one of the challenges for up and coming artists, especially if they're young and they're just starting out, is resources. And so,
Hmm.
how important is it to be able to improvise as a musician when you don't have all of the resources? And how have you improvised with, whether it's from a software perspective, hardware, instrument? How have you been able to utilize what resources you have to still sound the best and produce or rap to or sing to whatever you have?
Let me. I'm gonna jump in because I'm gonna talk about Zay real quick because this boy is like a boy wonder genius when it comes to like taking software to its limit and then just dropping that piece of work into another software program and then taking that program to its limit. Like I have I'm a producer myself. I use Logic. Like Logic is like my safe bed. Um, Everything Apple. I'm like Team Apple at this point. But I've watched Zay start on Soundtrap and then just find what's the program? What's the when you Serato? He found
Yeah.
Serato, and then he found Serato at a point where I didn't even know it existed, and he was talking about it, and then I had him like teach a class on Serato. It was like he just he just took over the class, and he was like, "This is how I use this program," and then he got into Ableton, and it's like he came to one of the sessions that we were doing on the weekends, and he was just walking through his process of how he got from point A to point Z. And I think everybody was just kind of sitting there, kind of flabbergasted, like, what? And when he hit play, it's like, it doesn't matter where he got it from. Like, the work that he put into like making this one piece or these pieces that he makes, it doesn't matter where he got it from. Like, he's able to manipulate the software to a point where I'm afraid to give him the unlocked versions of it. I don't want him to have like, you don't want him to have Ableton real one because then you're never going to see him again. Like,
You won't. You won't.
But I think it's dope though. I think it's dope.
Yeah. Yeah. So like Mr. Dennis said, I really made sure I knew how to like improvise off of the stuff I was doing because like I used to not know how to put it in words, but like one of my teachers at Duke really like is like there's like there could be no excuse unless you're dead. Like if you want to do something, you can find a way to make it work. And so I feel like that's something I really did with my early music production because like I just remember I was listening to some lo-fi beats and I was like, I want to make this stuff. And I searched up music making software and I kept going until I found Soundtrap. I was like, it's online, it's free, I don't have to download anything. This is perfect. And I think I messed around with it for like 3 years before I understood how to push it to its limits. And then once I figured out how to do that, it was like, okay, time to go to the new thing, which at that time was I was really getting into the production process of artists like MF Doom, Earl Sweatshirt, and Jay Dilla. And I was like, they chop samples a lot. Let me try and do that. Search up free sample chopping software. And then I find Serato Studio for free. Not only because I search it up, but because, you know, Google looks at what she does and they give you ads. And I guess they just gave me the perfect ad at the right time for Serato Studio. And so it's like, never say you can't do something because it's like, at first I thought I couldn't do it at all. Like I almost gave up because I was like, man, all this stuff costs so much money. But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna keep going until I find something, no matter how bad I think it is. Like I'm still gonna learn how to use it to the best I can. And that's what I did. And as I grew, it was like, okay, I keep finding new limits. And recently I found a limit like where, because I would like go between with the laptop Project Create give me, I would go between 4 software, go between my basic Logic, I would record through Audacity, I would throw stuff into Soundtrap, throw some different sounds, some effects onto it, throw it to Serato to chop stuff up, throw it back to SoundCloud to do this, throw it back in Logic to do the final mix, and then like a whole complicated process. I was like, I'm making the same stuff. So then I started looking for Ableton and started teaching myself how to use the free version. So yeah, and ask questions a whole lot because at first I was super scared to ask any question. I was like, people would say stuff, I'm like, I don't know what that is. I'm just gonna keep quiet so I don't bother them. But now it's just like, if I'm confused by something, I'll be like, what does this mean? What does this do? How do you get this? It's like just asking a question because it's like I feel like there's almost no such thing as a stupid question unless you answer like pizza to what is 2 + 2. Like there's no such thing as a stupid question. So ask a lot of questions is what kind of got me to the point where I'm at now, and like talk to people even if you think they're scary because like I feel like I used to be so scared to actually talk to Mr. Dennis. I was like, yes. At first, I used to be terrified. Like, I was like, what if I say something stupid? And for like a minute, I was just like, I don't know what to say. And then it also was like that with a lot of the people at my school who are now asking me to make them beats and are now like helping me out. But yeah, just don't give up. Keep searching until you find what you need. Keep asking until you get what you need. Unless they say no a lot, then you just have to say screw them and go somewhere else, and then laugh in their face when you make it.
Yeah, no.
Well, you know, I You proved a point. I knew about the Serato, but I didn't know about all that other stuff, Zay. So it's very commendable, but it speaks to that again. When you have a determination, you don't let resources stop what you don't have stop you. You figure it out, and what it ends up doing is it makes you a versatile artist who can almost use anything because I can speak for me. I didn't do a lot of music production, but I did a lot of photography and video. And I remember at one point there was for certain times I couldn't afford stuff, and so I've known how to do different things, and I figured out ways to do it. But what ended up happening to me is that I became very skilled in doing multiple things within photography, videography, and even sound because I just had to figure out different ways to do stuff. And sometimes when you're initially in that place, it makes it seem like other artists, they could just do this and it's a few things. Me, I'm having to do all this. But then when you actually get to that point where you only have that one software, you actually become a pretty good troubleshooter and problem solver. And I think that's really big when you are creative, to be able to come up with multiple solutions because you know how to do various things. So I definitely commend you for that. Now, Ahmad, you're a writer, so you don't really get into all of the software, the hardware
He's
things.
supposed to.
He's supposed to. He's
Hey,
supposed to.
hey, Mr. Dish, you said stay in your lane. This my lane right here.
Nah, bro. It's a four-way. It's a four-way lane out here, though. It's 4 lanes out here. So it's a beltway, bro.
But I do want to say this with Ahmad. So Ahmad mentioned earlier, he says he's a reader. And again, when Ahmad is here, I always see him reading a different book. And so for you being a writer, Ahmad, how has the resource of a book helped you to develop in your writing?
That's a great question. For me, it's various things. It expands my vocabulary, of course. It expands my imagination as far as understanding how I can use the spoken word and just words themselves to provide imagery and to evoke emotion. What else? I read out loud, which to most people is weird, but wherever I go, I read out loud. And the reason I do that is because I'm a rapper, I'm a recording artist. So when I read out loud, I'm actually mimicking when I'm either in the booth or when I'm performing. So when I'm on the train, I'm reading whatever I'm reading. And I'm, of course, not reading out loud to disturb everyone, but I just hear myself because I use that as an exercise to when I'm either on the mic in front of people or I'm in a booth. So reading as a lyricist, as a songwriter, and as a performer, it helps a lot for me in various ways.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And then Dennis, at one point, I'm sure you had a moment where you didn't have all the resources that you needed. How did you improvise and how did you still get the job done?
Well, when I was coming up in music, we didn't have the resources. I had teachers that looked out for the most part when they saw that you took the work seriously, but it was really just kind of hunkering down and deciding that music was something that I really wanted to do. And when I made that decision, like my parents didn't have a lot of money. I think my first instrument that I didn't get from my parents. I got from my band teacher. Like he saw something in me, and he was like, "You're going to need this because in order for you to get where you need to go, you have to have an instrument." And once I found my instrument, which was bass guitar, I dug into it really seriously, and that's why I became a professional bass player. But at the time, I remember doing shows for $25 or and when I was in college. And this is a little plug for my school, Norfolk State University, because Zay said he wanted to go to a school with a rich music program, Norfolk State University, Marching Spartan Legion, all that stuff, But when I went to state, we used to have a band called the Rhythm Section of the New Millennium, and we did shows for like 25 cents. It was a joke. Like we'll play your show for 25 cents if you give us the music on Monday, because the shows were on Friday. but we were willing to go and play anywhere. Like I played everywhere. Like every Sunday after church, I would go to a jam session and just play. Like the moment they say get on stage and play, I would hop on stage and try to be heard and be seen, with the hopes that I can get more work off of it. So I was willing to go places and to do things, just to like hone my craft in, and be humble about it too. I wasn't arrogant about it. I just wanted people. I wanted to be heard, but I also wanted to make those connections with other people. I host the open mic now on called Art of Noise on Sundays, and I always make the connection with people when I say I'm playing music with my friends 99% of the time at this point. Like I work with everybody that I'm working with is an actual friend that I can call up and talk about anything besides music, and that makes the music that much more enriching because it's not just about that. We have other things going on. Like I've grown up with these guys and grown up with these people. Like we have our families are intertwined at this point. So it's like it becomes more than music, and then it just makes the music that much more enriched because of your life experiences. So.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And Quentin, what resource has been helpful for you when it comes to your music?
What has been helpful for me is for beat making. I use BandLab a lot, but I haven't made any beats now because as I said, I'm trying to become more independent. So for writing songs, I think the Notes app on my phone has been the most helpful because like I'm able to have my songs with me wherever I go, opposed to having like a notebook. I can have it in my pocket, but with a notebook, I have to have it like I just it's hard to bring a notebook wherever you go. So I think it's been a really helpful resource in making music because I actually have like 30 songs in the Notes app. So I can also have folders to divide them. So it's been really helpful.
Nice, nice. I'm really loving what I'm hearing from Ahmad and Quentin and Say just about all of the work that they're putting in. And you all are young, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure that your story, when you all get to that whatever that point is that you consider big, when you get to that point, you're gonna look back and you're gonna be like, this is why this happened. And then also you're gonna inspire. I mean, I believe that you guys are inspired. You're inspiring me right now at this moment. I really love the dedication and the time. Another important thing for a lot of up and coming artists, whether they're doing it part time or full time, is gigs, 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 and
Mm-hmm.
exposure. What advice would you give to someone on getting gigs, or are you all in the process of getting gigs, and can you share your experience?
For me, as far as getting gigs, I would definitely say be early. Be early to whatever gig you are scheduled to be at. Be early, because for me personally, I believe that that'll open a door and an opportunity for that promoter that booked you to see, okay, they're early, so they're taking this serious. And you never know who's in the crowd when you're performing. So you may did a good job, but you were late. So I feel like timeliness, first off, as far as a gig, is key. Secondly, and we can use our amazing teacher, Mr. Dennis, because he's told us a few stories. Don't be sad or upset if you mess up at a gig, because that's a part of your growth process as an artist. There's been plenty of gigs to where I felt like as a live performer that I didn't live up to my full potential, but it was me just learning. So I'm not as hard as on myself as I used to be, as far as like when I mess up or I feel like I don't do the best that I can as a live performer. Don't beat yourself up when because you're learning. Um, so I would, like I said, timeliness, and allow yourself to grow and learn.
And if I could add to that, because I always tell them about the B's, like be on time, be polite, be professional. But also to piggyback on what Ahmad said about not beating yourself up too much. I call him my musical father, Yusef Chisholm, the guy who taught me how to play bass. He would tell me because I used to beat myself up when I was young. Like I would mess up a song or like and as an instrumentalist, and Zay can probably attest to this too. When you mess up, the first thing that you want to do is like put your hands down and go, "Oh, I messed up," but you can't do that because there's still more music to be read or to be played. Like you gotta just pick up where you left off. So when I would mess up when I was younger, he would just be like, "If you mess up, do it twice, because you do it the first time it's a mistake. The second time you meant to do it, then it becomes a part of what you did. Nobody knows you messed up. So find a way to make that mistake your own at the end of the day." So, yeah.
Awesome. All right. And I saw Zay shaking his head to no gigs, but I mean, you said earlier that you were having the opportunity to produce for the Proceed Litigator. That's a gig.
Exactly.
Right.
So you guys are gonna again. There's no such thing as a big gig. There's no such thing as a small gig. A gig is a gig. Now, what the question I do want to ask is, would you consider stuff that you do for free a gig? And would you suggest that people, if they're starting off, would you suggest that you take opportunities, even if it's free, to do it?
Take everything.
Yes. Yes.
I agree with that.
That's still exposure, and that's still an opportunity to learn. Yes.
Take everything. Everything. Build your reel up. Build your portfolio up, and then charge people.
That is exact. I agree with that completely. Like when I'm at school, so like with my beats, I'm like, for my new clients and stuff, for the new people coming to me, first beat is free. After that, you got to pay. But it's like, because then it allows them to like hear the stuff that I got without worrying like, oh shoot, did I waste my money? And then when I usually give them that free beat, it's not my worst beat, but it's not my best beat. So then when I hear what they make, I'm like, oh shoot, did I give them a good beat for them to spit some trash on it? So it's like, yeah, I agree with Ahmad and Mr. Dennis said, for sure.
Awesome. Quentin, you got anything to add?
I just want to say I agree. Like anything that you do is you're still doing something. Like you're getting your name out there. You're telling people who you are. Like as you can tell, I've learned a lot from Mr. Dennis. So this is another story that he told me. He said he and his friends, like they went out to, I think it was a European tour, and they didn't make any money off of it. They actually lost money because they had to pay for gas and for hotels.
Yeah, don't remind me.
Yeah, but they got exposure, so people were like, hey, who are you? Can you come do stuff for us here? And they played at like festivals and stuff, and they got their name out there. So that's still a way for people to see you. It's still a way for people to know who you are. Like just because you're not getting paid doesn't make it any less of an experience.
Yeah. Payment isn't only monetary at the end of the day.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. So we're a little bit over time. And so I'm actually going to wrap up with this last question. And my question is, let's say you are up for a Grammy and you had to give your speech. What would your speech be?
Wow.
Ahmad's been preparing for this moment.
Wow.
I think we all can do Ahmad's speech.
No.
So Ahmad, Quentin, and Zay, each of you have to give a quick speech, a quick speech. It could be 20, 30 seconds, but I just want to hear how would your, if you won a Grammy, what would your speech be? Let's hear it.
Wow. First off, I would like to thank the Recording Academy for even including me within this amazing list of artists. I would like to thank the artists that I was nominated with. This is an amazing award. I dreamed about this my entire life. It's an honor. Thank you.
All right, Zay, let me hear it.
Oh man, I'm ready for this. All the times Ahmad has ran up to me and be like, "What if we won the Grammys?" Like,
Exactly.
I'm prepared. All right. So, all right. If I were to give my speech, I would say, thank you for having me win this. Thank you to my family. Thank you to my friends. Thank you to all the people who doubted me to give me the motivation to prove y'all wrong and prove me right. Thank you to all the people who've taught me and have helped me grow along the way. And thank you to myself for not giving up, even when I thought I should. And thank you to Ahmad for always jump scaring me and telling me, "What if we win the Grammys?" So I know what to say.
All right, Quentin.
That's hilarious.
I don't. I've never thought of this before, but like, I guess I would. I would think. I would think. I actually do not know what to say. I guess I just thank everyone that helps me. I don't know. I have no idea what to say.
I mean, thanking everyone that helps you. That's awesome. I mean, you're actually so short and sweet, because most people that go up there, they have a whole list of people that they gotta thank, and then the famous line is, "Please forgive me if I miss someone. I know I'm gonna miss someone on this list." And then they go down their list, and then they say, "Oh, and I would like to thank so and so." Oh, I would like to. So that's actually pretty short and sweet. It's pretty good, Quentin.
You don't want to get the music played.
Again.
Exactly.
Thank you all. It's been great chatting with you all. It's been an even great time having you all in class and seeing how you all are growing in your career, your artistry. I really appreciate you all taking the time, and thanks. Let's give a round of applause to an awesome teacher, Mr. Dennis. He's been doing a great job walking you all through. Before we leave, for those who want to stay connected with these creative talks, it's through Project Create. Definitely follow us on our social media page. It's at projectcreatedc.org. I will be posting graphics on there for our next artist talk. If you want more information about our organization, you can visit us at projectcreatedc.org. Again, thank you all so much for joining us. We'll see you for the next artist talk, and have a great holiday. Bye, everyone.
Peace.